All right, welcome to Module 16, Environmental Studies. So we have a warm-up, and this warm-up is all about living things, which was what Module 15 was all about. So use your notes. Use Notes 1, Characteristics of Life, or Characteristics of Living Things. And today, after you've done the warm-up, this module we're going to learn about the categories of life. So we look around and we see all sorts of living things, and sometimes we know that they're there like bacteria, but we can't even see them. So there are an enormous number of different living things. How do we make sense of them all? So that's what these notes are all about. We put them into categories. We group them based on how similar they are. So first, let's copy these notes. Notes 2, Categories of Life. Once that opens, of course, put it into your Unit 2 Ecology folder. All right, so here are our notes. How do we group different living things together? We've got some diagrams. We have this sort of reverse pyramid looking like this, or at least it's supposed to, and the font is in all sorts of different sizes, and that is intentional, so you can get the appearance of an upside-down pyramid. So let's first move this into the correct place. Unit 2 Ecology, keep it organized. All right, and now there's a whole second page here. We're only going to do, about to prokaryotes and eukaryotes today, and the 6 kingdoms, that's going to take a bit longer, so we're going to leave it for the next module. All right, here we go. So we have 3 animals here. Which 2 do you think are most closely related? We have a frog, a lizard of some sort, and a turtle. And the answer is the lizard and the turtle are more closely related because of their lifestyles. They are reptiles. A frog is an amphibian, so it has a different life cycle, different needs. All right, so amphibians and reptiles, they are 2 of the groups that are found somewhere in this system that we call taxonomy, which is a system of classifying living things. And so we have sort of a pyramid of different levels. So there are a great number of levels. I think there are, how many? 8? 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8. I was right the first time. So each of these different levels have different names, right? So it's sort of like in a school, we have a classroom. So that's just those 20 people and the teacher, and then we have a grade level, right? So that's like all these different classes, all these different teachers, all these different students, and then we have the middle school, so that's a specific number of grades, and then we have the whole school district, right? So that's sort of like these levels, okay? All right, so the first one at the top, that's called a domain. So domains include a huge variety of different living things, and there's only a couple of them. So there's only 3 domains, 2 depending on who you talk to. So then we move one step down and we have kingdoms. So you might have heard of the animal kingdom. Well, the animals are one of those kingdoms. Plants are another kingdom. Fungus are another kingdom. Bacterias are another kingdom. And then you go one step down and you have phylum, or phyla if you're talking about multiples. So phylum gets just a little bit more specific. In this diagram you can see that we eliminate the insects. That's a different phylum, but we keep all these other animals. Then we get down to the classes. So this is where you've learned about mammals and reptiles and birds and fish and amphibians. Those are here in the classes. Those are some of the classes under the phylum. All right, and one step smaller than a class is called an order. So it looks like we got rid of the kangaroo. A kangaroo belongs to a different order within the mammal class, but these 4, they belong to the same order. And then one step down, getting even more specific, you have a family. So it looks like a panda and a polar bear are in the same family. but we still have 2 steps left. So one step down from family is called a genus. So a genus gets pretty similar, pretty small, but there's still more than one type of animal in there. So I know the picture only shows one, but there might be 2, 3 different kinds of bears in the same genus, and then finally we get down to a species. A species is a specific type of animal, so that's where the word species comes from. It comes from the word specific. All right, a couple of important vocabulary terms that are going to be key here. So how organisms, not just animals, we're talking about all different living things, how they get their food, how they get their energy is one way that we distinguish from different types of living things, different types of organisms. So we have heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are anything that eats to obtain energy. So the rabbit and the lion are both heterotrophs. Even though the rabbit only eats plants and the lion only eats meat, it doesn't matter what they eat, as if they're eating, they're heterotrophs. And on the other hand, we can have autotrophs. So autotrophs are anything that produce their own energy. So think about photosynthesis. So all plants do this, and also a lot of bacteria have the capability of producing their own energy through chemical processes, whether it's photosynthesis or slightly different chemical processes. They're autotrophs. All right, last part of today's notes. So we're going to talk about prokaryotes and eukarya, or eukaryotes. And these are 2 main categories of cells. So every living organism on the planet has one of 2 types of cells. They either have prokaryotic cells or eukaryotic cells. And there's 3 domains of life. Domains are the big groupings, the very top of that pyramid. And 2 of them are prokaryotes. So they're pretty similar, and sometimes they get lumped into one. So let's just talk about the 2 different types of cells, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So here's some pictures of real ones under the microscope, and maybe you can tell a difference. Maybe you can see different shapes here and here. Maybe you can see that this one tends to be a little fuzzy looking on the inside, maybe a little garbled, and this one looks to have some details that we can actually see. So those are the main differences, and what actually makes them different are 3 specific things. First off, prokaryotic cells are quite simple. That's why they just kind of look like fuzzy in the inside. There's not a lot of specific structures in there. Also, prokaryotic organisms are all unicellular, meaning their entire body is just a single cell. And in addition to being simple inside, they also have no nucleus. They have this little blob called a nucleoid, which is just naked DNA. They don't actually have a self-contained nucleus with a membrane with the DNA inside. So then that gets us to eukaryotic cells. Well, they're the opposite. Instead of being simple, they're more complex. If you can see all the different organelles inside, the different parts, then it's probably a eukaryotic cell. Now these organisms can be either unicellular or multicellular. So we are multicellular. We have trillions of cells, if not more, and we are eukaryotic organisms. We have eukaryotic cells, plants as well. Also, we can find single-celled living things called amoeba that are complex, but they're one cell. And all eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. So there's DNA inside of the nucleus. It's like the headquarters of the cell, and it is separated off by a membrane. It's a specific organelle. All right, so we have some practice. Can you tell the difference? Can you tell which is which? Okay, well I hope so, because you're about to take an exit ticket. So we're going to save the rest of these notes for the next module, but now's your chance to show what you just learned and take a 6-point exit ticket. Good luck. See you next time.